Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today has a 6-year real estate investing goal and is the host of a weekly podcast geared towards people 50 and over who are using real estate to fund their retirement and create a legacy. Bill Manassero is the founder of the Dawg Real Estate Investing Network and podcast. Bill, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on, Seth. Great being here with you today.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm hoping the old dog can teach me some new tricks. So.
hey, we do it all the time, man.
Yeah. So to kick things off, I mentioned you have a 6-year goal. Do you want to share what that goal is?
Yeah, well, primarily when I started investing seriously, I really had to sort of take a step back because I kind of just jumped into it, and I didn't really have a chance to think about, well, what are you doing this for? And I figured, well, this is going to be great for retirement. It's going to be good for creating a legacy I can hand down to my kids and a lot of things. But really looking at my why was key, and understanding what was really the motivation behind, why 1,000 units? I mean, who needs 1,000 units? 100 units will keep somebody busy, But we before we came to the States, it's been about a little more than 3 years. We were living in Haiti, and we were there for about 12 years. And we have a nonprofit organization called Child Hope International. And the primary focus of Child Hope is to help out abandoned, orphaned, and at-risk children living on the streets of Haiti. And so we did that for a long time, and then we started getting a little old to be able to handle. It's a tough place to handle, outside of just the day-to-day life. It's a pretty toxic place at times, but we love it. We kept our ministry there, but we moved back to the States, and that's when I started investing in real estate, because a part of my goal was actually to raise funds to help the things that we're doing there in Haiti. And cool. So our organization is comprised of a boys' home, a girls' home. We've got medical facilities, a clinic, a school, vocational training programs, all kinds of different things to kind of help the kids and help them sort of move into that next stage of life. And so it's real important to us. So that's why we set the goal of 1,000 units in 6 years.
Wow. So why do you think that you didn't get into real estate sooner in life?
Well, it's life, life happened, I mean, I started off in banking and kind of moved through the corporate world and advanced pretty quickly, young on. And, sort of had the entrepreneurial spirit. At one point, I broke away from the corporate life and formed my own companies. Enjoyed that. It was great. But then when I got a call to the mission field, everything kind of changed, and I ended up coming, just basically going to Haiti and starting from scratch, working with these kids. And it was absolutely the best. I'd say it's kind of like the Dickens, and Great Expectation, the best of times, the worst of times. We had it all there, but it was absolutely wonderful. Yeah. But I was after there for a long period of time. We really weren't thinking about retirement. We were just doing what we did every day. And as I was getting older, my kids were sort of growing up and moving back to the States. I was looking at what am I going to do? What should I do? If I go back to the States, and I didn't want to do another, sort of 9 to 5 job like I'd done before. And I had started businesses, and I was kind of leaning more in that direction. I started looking at different alternatives and what I could do. And I happened to get a couple of unexpected checks that came in from an inheritance. And I was already heavily vested in the stock market, because I also was in technology for a number of years too. So I had invested very heavily in tech stocks and a lot of other things. Didn't want to go, the market at that time was pretty volatile. It was about 2014, and I just didn't want to put more in the market. So I just started investigating around. I have some friends that are in real estate, and said, well, maybe I'll just buy some investment properties just as part of my investment portfolio. So I didn't really think of it as doing anything other than buying a few properties and hopefully yielding some good returns,
Yeah.
But over time, it just I was going, God, this is really nice. I was doing it while I was in Haiti. I was first, I literally hopped on a plane, flew to Atlanta and Memphis. I ended up buying 3 properties and came back, and that was sort of my initial investment. But then I thought as I was going back to the States, why don't you just do this as sort of your thing? Because I'm too restless to retire. I don't want, what am I going to do? Collect seashells on the, seashore here. So it just didn't appeal to me. And I love the idea of learning something new. And, I'd owned homes in the past, but not investment properties. But, I was somewhat familiar with it. So I started reading up and learning more and more, and decided, hey, I'm going to do this. And so I, just continued to purchase properties. And then I set the goal after I'd already started a little bit and said, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this, see if I could pull off, 1,000 units in 6 years.
Yeah. And so I'm always interested, you've got that 1,000 unit goal. How do you break that down, or do you break it down to make sure you're hitting milestones towards that goal?
Yeah, it's roughly based on $100 per door.
Okay.
So that's really where I'm looking at. So I have some single families, I have small multis, I have larger multis, and so that was pretty much the average. I figured, well, if I'm not making $100 a door, I shouldn't be I shouldn't be investing in that property.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty conservative thing. Some of my single family homes, I'm pulling in 300 a door. So it's just going to be an average more than anything else. But it's the door count that really sort of brought me to the the actual goal.
Yeah. And how far along are you right now to reaching that goal?
Well, if all goes well this month, we'll be at 88 units.
Nice.
Yeah, and so a little bit behind where I wanted to be, because when we started, it was a different market, especially in the area of multifamily.
Hmm.
And we really have been looking at 100 plus units for quite a while. But we're competing with international and institutional investors, people that can come in and pay 10% over the asking price, and the asking price is already set high, figuring people are going to negotiate it down. But these guys are coming in and they're not only paying over, but they're paying cash on many deals. So, yeah, how can I, as a small investor, really compete in that world? So, I've kind of lowered expectations and looking, at the under 100, but although really 100, 200, 300 is really where I hope to be in the year to come. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And you bring up a really good point. Like you're a smaller investor competing now, just because inventory is so tight against the larger big boys in the game. What are some ways that you've changed in how you approach your business to be able to compete and have that fighting chance?
yeah, well, I think the key thing, real estate, they say it's all about location, location, location. I would probably uh, alter that to say it's all about relationships, relationships, and relationships. Without good relationships, it's really difficult to go far. You need relationships to find properties, find projects to invest in. You need good relationships to fund those projects, whether it's a banker or an investor. You need relationships for people that are going to manage your properties as well as your tenants. So it's really focusing in on developing strong relationships. For me, that's the biggest focus that I have. And I realize that during these difficult times where it's getting more competitive out there, I've also noticed too that setting goals is great, and I think we all need to do it. But I also think you don't get so tied to your goal where you move into a property that you wouldn't normally have purchased.
Yeah.
And I set pretty high standards. I'm always committed to buying under market properties, so anywhere from 10 to 30% under market, so that I have sort of that built-in hedge as we are approaching, we believe, a market correction coming up here. If the property value does decline, you've got that buffer in there because you bought it already with all this extra equity. So that's that's been a key focus. And another thing as well is don't grow impatient. That's a big part of this thing. Is waiting is a virtue, really. And if you can be patient, you're going to find the right property. It's just, I think when people jump the gun and buy things that they really shouldn't be buying, especially in today's economy, you're going to pay later on. So what I've done is I've kind of paced myself. We did do a lot more direct mail. So we've been trying to go more direct to seller, trying to work out deals where we could have maybe a master lease arrangement or some sort of creative financing, but it gives you a little more options when you're dealing direct. And also, if you hopefully aren't competing with anybody else in that kind of a situation.
Yeah.
And then the other part is that we've used the sort of extra time that we have to optimize the properties that we do have, and that's been really key to us. Is that we realize there's always things that you can do to take that existing property and make it more profitable and increase its value.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I find sometimes maybe less experienced syndicators, general partners, operators will always be looking for the next deal, but they still have to remember they have to manage what they have already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just talking to another investor on my podcast. I was interviewing a guy I hadn't talked to in, gosh, it's been about 9 months or so, and he's just been acquiring property. I think he acquired 1,000 units in 9 months. He's just going gangbusters, and he just finally put on the brakes. He said, "No, I got to stop because I really need to focus on these properties." And I get it, because you really can't. You can start moving ahead so fast that you're ignoring the value component of your existing properties, which isn't just a matter of increasing the profit or increasing your income, but it really is it's more of a case of is this property designed for the long term? If you're going for a long term play, are you going to hold on to it for 3 to 5 years and sell? Or are you going to 3 to 5 years and refi and maybe hold on to it for longer? And how is it positioned? Are you postponing important capital improvements that you really should be doing, for the long term? And there's all kinds of questions when you really start to look at how can I optimize and make this property even better.
Yeah, for sure. And do you have any, do you follow any routines, or do you have any rituals that you do to help keep it focused with real estate?
Yeah, well, I'm a real planner. I used to have my own marketing consulting firm, and later evolved into an advertising public relations company. And I really, I'm a person that just really believes in putting together a strategic plan for each year. And each year I draw from the previous year's plan to optimize my approach, as I find certain strategies work better than other strategies. I kind of omit those that I've been spending a lot of time on, but they aren't really getting anywhere, and just keeping and refining that. So the planning part of it is sort of a key element for me, as I try to review the plan on a regular basis. I tweak it as I go along. So it should be a living plan. I believe that you can change and you can adjust to make it work better for your lifestyle. As it may change as you increase the number of properties, you may be more focused. Oh man, I got to spend more time on the property management aspect, or I've got to spend more time, for example, looking at funding options and working at that aspect, maybe looking at some creative bridge loans or something like that, whatever. So as you do that, it means taking away from time that you might have in the marketing realm, trying to find new properties.
Yeah. And what does that annual plan look like? Do you say, I want to, touch get so many new people in my database for money raising? Like what sort of maybe headlines do you have in that plan?
Yeah, it should be everything that you have to do to make a successful real estate business. And so, yeah, there are aspects in there about networking. There are certain I sort of distinctive areas that kind of separate. Some of them are more esoteric, almost, where you're establishing a relationship that you really don't know necessarily that it's going to have a direct benefit for you. You can't put an ROI on it, but it does have an influence on other things that you may be doing. So there are sort of non profit linked type goals that you might have, and then there are those that are very specifically tied to generating dollars, and that's direct mail, for example, and how many you have to mail to get this kind of a response, and when you get that kind of response, how many of those are going to result in a sale, and getting real specific. So, and then there's also life. I incorporate my lifestyle in there as well. Everything from exercise and diet and things of that nature are part of that, because that takes time out of your day too. And I'm an early riser. I wake up, at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been doing it ever since I had my own businesses. It's just like clockwork. So I use that time, and that is some of the most valuable time I have during the day. And I take that time and I use it, very, very wisely. And that to me has been, I think, real critical in any success that I've had.
Yeah, no, those are some really good points. And now you're well on your way to 1,000 units. Is there one deal that stands out as a keystone deal out of all the deals you've done so far?
Yeah, I think a key one for me is when I first purchased. I mentioned I had hopped on a plane from out of Haiti to Atlanta and Memphis. Okay, I bought two single family homes and a duplex. Okay, they're all about the same price. I thought, well, this is great. I've never, I've never had a duplex before. This is going to be an interesting measure. And within a very short period of time, it just made sense to me. I go, this duplex, I paid the same amount for, okay, but I'm making twice as much on the income. Okay, sort of a duh moment, It's like, okay, but I only have one loan. I only have one property tax payment. I have only one insurance payment, and one roof to repair. So, gosh, why am I even buying single family homes? And then there's the the aspects. Yeah, when I have a vacancy, I only have a 50% vacancy on my duplex, but I have 100% if I have a vacancy in a single family home. So that just shifted my thinking altogether, and I said, well, I need to look more into multifamily, and that's where I said, okay, maybe I got a duplex, maybe I'll get a fourplex or a sixplex or something. And then as I started looking, I started seeing all different types of multifamilies available, and I said, why am I restricting myself? Why don't I go for more? And I came across a property, believe it or not, on LoopNet, okay, that was a 22 unit property. And I said, oh, gee, that's too many units. This is really going to be a whole different type of management, and everything's going to be so different. Now, what I found out is that it really isn't that much different than buying a single family home. I mean, you have your loan docs, you have your, you have the same things, the due diligence that you have to do. Maybe it's a little more involved because you've got more units, but basically it's the same thing. And that part of it, I really liked. I go, gee, this is not as much extra work as I thought it would be. And then I started to look a little bit deeper, and I said, well, gee, there's also some other other added benefits here that I didn't anticipate, and that was, for example, over 5 units here in the U.S., it becomes commercial property, right? So up to 1 to 4 units, it's treated like a residential home, and so. That getting into a commercial loan was a lot better. They look less at you as an individual and more at your business plan, and that was really exciting to me because this property that I happened to buy was one that really that I was able to leverage that to a fair amount. So that was a real advantage for me.
Yeah. And you had mentioned that now you're looking at 100 unit plus deals. So what changes have you had to make, whether it's how you think about it or your business systems, to allow you to go from those 20 unit deals to those 100 unit plus?
Yeah, I think the key element with all rental properties is property management. That is, to me, if that's your weak link, then you got to do something about that right away, because that is really key. And with the multifamily, it's even more crucial. I know some people that they have a single family home, and they kind of have a part-time property manager that kind of is there when they need him, but basically it's they don't have to really do a lot. So they figured, well, I just need to hire a full-time property manager. That's not the case with multis. With multis, you've got a lot of elements to be concerned about, and that's where that part of it is real critical. So for me, that was the biggest. I'd say it's sort of the biggest focus, where I really needed to find the right person that could work with me, especially in my goals that I had for this property. And I did develop a business plan for the property that I used when I first launched into it.
Yeah. And maybe somebody's watching this right now and they're considering getting into, let's say, a 20 unit property. And you mentioned the business plan is very important. What sort of things is a lender looking for in that business plan?
Well, I think there are a number of different things. Experience is one of them, which I didn't have a lot of because I had only started investing like a year before that, and plus I had I had to kind of leverage the three properties that turned into four at that time, that I could sort of use as my experience. But what I did is, I built a team, a management team, where I had other individuals that I was working with, mentors or people that were willing to sort of lend their expertise to the project, even though wasn't syndicating it. This was I was just purchasing this on my own. But presenting a team, showing a strong property manager in the area that they could that the local bank would know and be able to say, hey, that they're good, they're quality property management, because property management to the lender is very important. And they do look at that aspect, and so showing them that where I lacked in terms of my experience, I made up for some of the team members that I had as part of the project. So that's an important one for them. And then they look at your numbers, and you've got to really build a strong case for that. There's local lenders that won't lend to out-of-state investors. They're only going to lend to guys that are. Now this particular property is in Indianapolis, so I didn't even really have contacts there, except the guy that I had managing a duplex that I had there also. So you have to kind of leverage it. Okay, in the strength of the plan. If the plan has the numbers are very strong and the market data backs it up, then they're going to be more apt to get behind it. So that's sort of the key aspect of it. The funding part was a challenge, because I had I'd gone on a referral based on my property manager there at the time, saying they said that a large banking, I could just say the name of it, Wells Fargo was looking for local people, on commercial
Well,
loans.
maybe to sign up some bank accounts too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I didn't want to go with the larger bank, but they sound like a really good deal. The rates were really good. But anyway, I went through the funding process for about 3 months on this
Wow.
deal, and it was and I am a 1099. I don't have a W-2. I know that I'm speaking in U.S. terms here, but
Yeah.
the W-2 employer's got a full-time 9 to 5, right? And I'm 1099. I live off my investments. Okay, so right up front, I said, this is the situation. Is this going to be an issue? They said no. Anyway, went through this whole process. 3 months later, they said, no, we're not going to fund it. And I go, why? I said, you had all the numbers, you liked everything, what have you. And they go, well, you're not a W-2. And I go, well, you guys knew that when I went into it, but it just sounded kind of like a lame excuse, and maybe who knows what their real reasoning was behind it. So I had to hustle to get another loan because I had to get an extension on my escrow time period and so forth. That was quite an ordeal, but it was a good learning experience for me. That's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, it sounds like it. So for the next deal you did you start speaking with a backup lender from day one to kind of mitigate that risk?
Yes. Well, even on this one, I was talking to, I talked to Wells Fargo, and then I had, which is sort of a middle of the road. They're not hard money, but their rates are more expensive than you're going to find as far as agency debt or anything like that. So I didn't really want to go with them because it was a higher rate. It also it had some. Some prepayment penalties that I didn't like. So I kind of had that in the background, and luckily I did because I had already submitted most of my information. And when this other loan fell through, I was able to jump into it pretty quickly, and they funded it within like 30 days. So
Oh,
it was
perfect.
it worked out. But yeah, that's a really smart idea. And in fact, as now I look at maybe 3 different lenders in advance, even before I sign contract. And if I'm looking in a particular area, just to not have that same incident happen.
Yeah, no, I think that's $1 million tip right there. We probably saved somebody from making that mistake. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
great.
that was one of my big ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So how has getting into real estate investing? I know you have that why to give back and help other people. How has real estate changed your life and what you're able to do for others?
Well, it's been such a great education for me. I think that's been one of the key things about it. And one key group that that I kind of didn't even look at initially, and it's a kind of a shame because this should have been obvious, but it was there's a group called tenants, okay, that are people that are extremely important to you. And granted, we wanted to make the place nicer, and we've done different phases of improvements in this property to constantly improve it and make it better for the tenants. But there are also people in the community. There are the people next door and behind us and around us, and we didn't realize how important that was. As we were, some of the challenges we faced in this property was another apartment building just a couple doors down that was terrible, and they had all kinds of folks in there that were, criminals and prostitutes and drug dealers and all kinds of folks, and it was impacting the whole neighborhood and us as well as these folks would be coming around trying to hang around our place and I became very committed in this process to not just creating a profitable property, but being an impact in that community and really making a difference for that community. And so I've actually met with the landlords of surrounding properties. I've helped them out. I've actually sent them tenants that maybe didn't meet our criteria, but maybe helped them. And a number of different things that have really almost creating what we call like a neighborhood watch type situation, where if there are people that are hanging around that shouldn't be hanging around, we all now we either call each other, call the police, or react, and have helped to really to make the neighborhood even better neighborhood. So that's an important audience for me that I really focus a lot on. I really want to know what my tenants think. I really want to know why they chose us, and I take that data. Now I'm in marketing, so of course marketing research is important. So trying to incorporate that into how I market the product, and we kind of came up with our own little term we call stealth tenant marketing, which was a very unique type of marketing for me, because it wasn't just sort of your typical, okay, how do you get good tenants? Well, you run your ads in the local apartments.com or hotpads or Craigslist or Zillow or whatever it is. we actually went another step and really started to study the demographics of the area. And we found local employers, large employers, maybe 100, 200, 300 employees. And we actually met with the head of our HR department. We told them about our property. We said, hey, we'll give a special deal to your people if you'd like, and we gave them a little poster they could put on their employee in the employee lounge area that says they get 1 month free with a 12-month lease, and it was wonderful. I got some great tenants from that, and it ended up being much more what we were looking for. And you got a good company that's doing well in the area, and we would make sure we'd research and see, is this company going to be leaving in another month, or we wanted to develop a long-term relationship, and that was part of this, is really establishing a real solid contact, staying in contact with them. And then, they pay their employees well. We know that our tenants are going to have a nice paycheck coming to them, and everything just worked out. And that was part of that effort we call stealth tenant marketing that allowed us to sort of broaden out and really find, just sort of a funnel effect here to the best tenant we possibly could for that property.
Wow. Those were some amazing tips.
Sure.
that was great. Well, we'll start charging $100 to listen to this episode.
Yeah, right. We'll set up a little affiliate program here. No,
that's right. That's perfect. No, that's awesome. And I think that sort of mindset and thinking when you are, in that, owner operator role, comes back to you tenfold down the road. It's not all about, just doing the deal today and being all transactional. It's about getting those relationships, having the end goal in mind, having the best welfare, everybody's welfare in mind. Like you said, the neighborhood watch and all that stuff. That was some really good stuff.
Well, thanks. Yeah, one other thing I might add too, and this is pretty unusual. I don't know if you'd want to do it with your apartment coming up, but I'll tell you, it made a big difference to me because I had, I'm a newbie basically, and my first properties I bought in 2014. So, I haven't been doing this that long. And so I there was a point where actually there was an issue with my property manager, and we were in the middle of rehabbing, and we were also trying to bring in new tenants. And so I really thought about it. I said, hey, this is something that I need to jump in and change here. So I literally moved to my apartment, and I basically moved in as a tenant for 30 days. And my wife wasn't real thrilled about it, but she understood. But that was the deal. And so I went in there. I was a tenant. Nobody knew that I was the owner.
You used a fake name?
No. They didn't.
Okay.
Well, it's owned by an LLC, so
okay.
They didn't really know me. I was dealing directly with my property manager. So I just came in as another tenant, and that experience for 30 days, I think that was probably more than a $30,000 coaching, because I learned so much about everything there. I mean, I learned about just about the property itself, but I learned about the market. I learned about the needs and the issues, things that I didn't know were a problem there that had to be dealt with. And then I learned about the property management side, because what I did every morning is I'd go to my property manager, I'd sit down at a desk, and with a sort of a different person each time I'd go in, I get to know them. I knew when their cycles were during the day, when's a horrible time to call them, and when's a great time to call them, and when do they process bills, and when do they do these different things that impact what I'm doing. It was invaluable for me, and I ended up building a really good relationship with them. Too often, I would be there and I'd hear them talking, sort of behind the backs about certain clients that they had, and I realized that I had this real advantage to be able to come in and deal with them like I was doing every day, and the key office manager, I was buying Girl Scout cookies for her daughter from, that she was selling, and we ended up being Facebook friends and all this stuff that just never would have happened. But it did open up to just a whole avenue of education for me about really the whole property management aspect. which some people learn when they kind of manage their own properties. They kind of get that. But I jumped out, first properties, I had property managers. So I really didn't even understand a lot of the dynamics. But that was a real helpful thing for me.
Yeah, no, it's you almost need those glasses with the fake mustache and the fake nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, Bill, this was a great interview. I very much appreciate you taking the time and sharing your success with us. So if somebody's looking to get in touch with you, maybe listen to your podcast or learn more about your deals, where can they find you?
Well, the best thing is at our website at Old Dawgs, spelled DAWGS, okay? Old Dawgs, REI, like real estate investing, network, okay? So Old Dawgs, REI network.com. So if they go there, they can reach me. There's a contact page. Anybody has any questions or what have you, I'd more than welcome to have. We also have a thing too, which is real unique. If they're fellow real estate investors, we have a little, I don't know what to call it, an app really officially, but it's what I call the 3-minute rental property analyzer. So when they go to the website, you have a choice if you want to download that for free. And this is for people that are like me. Some days I'll look at 50 different properties, and it just has a real quick little form. You can almost type it in just a matter, with one hand, and while you're turning pages or whatever you're doing, and it allows you to take all of your properties you're analyzing them. It has your sort criteria. You can sort by whatever you want. If you're cash flow is your key element. If you want to sort by ROI or whatever it may be, you can do this on this, and gives you just a quick analysis tool. It's not meant to be a comprehensive thing, but you narrow down to, hey, these are sort of my top prospects, and then you can go to those and go more extensive analysis. So so that's available on the website. Anybody that wants to download that.
That's great. And I'll make sure we put the link to the website so everybody can just click on that so they can get that download.
Cool. Great.
Well, Bill, thanks again for taking the time. I really enjoyed this talk.
Oh, same here. It's been great meeting you and get a chance to see your smiling face over here. It's great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.